Welcome to Haunt Tech Tips, the source for technical advice to take your haunted attraction to the next level. Here's your host, Chris Gay.
Welcome back, everyone. This week we'll be talking about the National Haunters Convention Halloween show and Boardwalk Empire that was in Atlantic City from May 18th to 20th. It's been a little while since our last episode. This is a fun and tricky time of the year for me and really for anyone who lives and especially who works at the Jersey Shore. This is the time of the year when all of our tourists come back. Our population doubles, triples, quadruples, quintuples, depending where you're at. The volume of fire and EMS calls I'm responding on has gone up drastically since the holiday weekend. Not to mention, my business has been booming, trying to get businesses ready for the holiday weekend, ready for the summer, snowbirds' houses reopened for the summer, so on and so forth. So, business is good. It's a great time of the year. Weather's finally good, so we're also trying to start some build work for our Ocean View Trail of Terror haunt. Not to mention, we were at the Halloween show and National Haunters Convention for the weekend. Not only there as attendees, but also there as an instructor and technician for the show. Ran the projectors and audio for the theater area and also for the costume ball Saturday night. I have a little bit of history with the show back in 2009 when it was in Valley Forge Convention Center in Valley Forge, PA. We had our Ghostbuster group and Ecto there. That was when I met Randy Bates. He invited us on the behind-the-scenes tour of his haunt. And really our Ghostbusters franchise, where we went from haunt to haunt, to charity events, to zombie mud runs, to zombie walks, even small community events. Any event really took off from that convention, getting the exposure out there. That's where we started touring haunts, and everything blew up from there. So have a lot to thank the organizers of the convention for. A lot of fun we had over the years, and it's indirectly how I ended up here. A haunt owner, as a podcaster on Haunt Tech, and as a creator in general. Before that, I was just a day job 9-to-5 sort of person, so thanks goes out to them. A little history of the show for those not aware. Started out as a backyard meet and greet barbecue sort of thing for haunters. Grew a little bit. I believe it went to a bar or pub the first year. It went to a public venue, then a hotel. From there it went to the convention center in Valley Forge, which shortly thereafter was renovated and turned into a casino. So fortunately they lost that venue, which was a pretty cool location. They tried the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, PA, but it wasn't quite a perfect fit. They didn't have really a great setup at that building for classes, and it kind of lost that con social feeling to it, and it was more of just a show floor. Took a break for a couple years. This year it came back. Showboat, which was the host hotel in Atlantic City, used to be a casino. They shut down a few years ago. They reopened not too long ago. A little rough inside. There was still some construction underway. Some of that, actually I believe most of that was supposed to be done before the convention, but as construction goes, things get delayed, unfortunately. There was an awesome venue that the classes were supposed to be in, but it was also not quite done yet. Looked like something pulled straight out of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, so hopefully next year, if they have it there, they'll be able to use that class venue. There was also just a little bit of, undeadness about the venue. You could tell that it was a casino. There were some remnants of where the slot machines had been on the show floor, and gave it a neat look. Especially being a Halloween show, being a little creepy of a location was neat, and again, it was safe, it was well lit and secure. You could just feel that there was kind of the ghost of a casino present. Hard to explain, but if you're ever there, you'll see what I mean. The show itself was great. There was a good variety of vendors. Quite a few. They were advertising 100. I think a couple of them weren't able to make it. Unfortunately, the week leading up to the show and during Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the weather was a little rough in South Jersey. My yard actually flooded Friday into Saturday, causing some issues where I had to deal with saving some of my Halloween stuff in my shed from being not exactly swept away by water, but definitely waterlogged. We just had a solid week of downpour, tropical storm type rain. That didn't help attendance, unfortunately. There was not a huge crowd at the show. Again, it was the first year back for them, new location, bad weather, but still, all in all, a lot of vendors, a lot of variety, a lot of great classes. And it's also a little tough schedule-wise because a lot of people were just coming down from paying off all the Transworld purchases. A lot of people were going to Midwest Haunters Convention the weekend after. There's also another convention in town, well, not town, in the region competing. It was a comic book convention of some sort. I think it was Wizard World, which some suspected might have pulled some of the cosplayer types away. But nonetheless, it was a great time. It was good for haunt owners, actors, even just Halloween fanatics. There was a little bit of everything there. The vendors ranged from professional services, artists that both had work present and were taking commissions, animatronics, set pieces, merch to sell at your shows, tools like Hot Wire Foam Factory, Greg's Airbrushes, and many, many more. We'd planned to live stream from the event. Unfortunately, being a giant concrete building on an island, there was basically no cell signal inside the building, and while the venue had Wi-Fi, it was unreliable at best. The vendors are struggling with that a little bit. Those that were taking credit cards on their phones or using Square, swipes, things like that. It was a little rough, and again, that's not the convention's fault at all. That's on the venue, unfortunately. For people that are vendors, there's a couple different things out there you can get into. Obviously, the phone-based apps that you can swipe, your PayPal, your Square. There's also a company called Freedom Pop makes mobile Wi-Fi hotspots. You buy the hotspot up front, $30, $50, something like that. And then the monthly service, it's a small amount of data, but it's 500 megs a month, something like that, is totally free. So something to keep in mind. That way, if you're out vending somewhere and per se you have a Verizon phone, try to get a hotspot with a Sprint or AT&T SIM card in it. That way, whatever network the hotspot is on a different network than your phone, so you at least have two chances to make a connection if you're taking mobile payments. Just a thought. So, the show itself, there was a lot going on. Thursday night, there was a meet and greet with Scarioki. We did some just ambient music for that before the Scarioki DJ got started. Good crowd, some really good snacks. Had some fun that night. All weekend long, Friday through Sunday, Mr. Lobo, who is a horror host, was there and had a Cinema Insomnia theater room showing retro horror movies that he had hosted or that others had been horror hosts for. That was a great little resting area. Some people actually stayed in for good chunks of the day watching the various films. Friday morning, I taught a class on Haunt Tech, just a general overview of what's out there, be it prop controllers, sound systems, projectors, TVs, resolutions, video players, security cameras, all sorts of different things out there right now. More of a awareness level class than anything. We didn't deeply delve into much, but gave the students an awareness of what's out there, what the current state of the industry is, and how to get a couple ideas and scares and scenes done without breaking the bank. That afternoon, I was able to check out the show floor a little bit, and my fiancée Erica was able to take a welding class, which was a little impressive. They had a welding lab on site. The shop was backstage of the old House of Blues theater, and fully set up welding shop. So they both went over the ideas, the safety, and they did a couple beginning welds and brought home a little piece of modern art as a keepsake from the class. Friday night was a behind-the-scenes tour of Eastern State Penitentiary. A real huge thanks goes out to the creative team, cast and crew there. They really did go above and beyond. They were very, very welcoming, accommodating, and gave us just the VIP treatment. They ran a couple of their shows without actors, walked us through, showed us how some of the scare positions work, showed us their audio systems, the behind the scenes of their giant on-site air compressor that runs everything, how they run their audio off of just multiple Bluetooth devices and for the most part 70-volt amplifiers and speakers. They have a couple conventional systems, but they're slowly converting over everything. They also explained how their show is a fundraiser for the restoration of the facility. We were also given tours of their makeup rooms, which is a very impressive operation, the number of actors they have to make up in a short time every night, and their costume shop, which, again, impressive the efficiency and the creativity that went into designing a very small space into a functional workshop and wardrobing area for so many actors. The tour wrapped up with a question and answer session, and then we were all escorted by the prison guards in costume to Al Capone's cell block, where they had a after party, actually two after parties, one with a speakeasy setting in Al Capone's cell block, as well as an area you could wander through, play some games with various actors in different cells. And for those who wanted to dance a little bit, they had a DJ area in the center rotunda with their zombie SWAT team busting some moves and getting the dancing going. Overall, it was a great night. We had a great time and learned quite a few things about how they run their show and how they do so inside of a historic ruin. On Saturday, unfortunately, we got a late start due to the flooding that took place at our house from all the rain. Thankfully, there was no real damage, but it was pretty close to being a problem. We set up for the costume ball, all the lighting and sound, projector screen, so on and so forth. The ball was a good time. It started out with a murder mystery in a room conjoined to the actual room with the dancing and dinner being served. So cocktail hour and appetizers were served as the actor troupe worked the crowd and began the story. The murder was committed, and then the entire crowd moved over to the dinner room where dinner was ready to be served. It took some time, but they eventually did figure out the murderer. A few different prizes were given out to those that had the most correct clues, and a ton of door prizes were given out to the crowd. At this point, there were a couple dance songs, and most of the crowd broke up for the night. It was already getting a little bit later, and it had been a long day for those on the show floor since 9 a.m. Sunday morning, I taught a Stop the Bleed class addressing how to respond to violent incidents, be it an active violent incident, a shooter, stabbing, so on and so forth that takes place at a haunt, or accidents such as overturned hay wagons or cars into crowds. These things unfortunately happen. Very attentive crowd for the class. I think a lot was learned, and I hope to spread this class out further because emergency planning is critical nowadays, and unfortunately haunts are prime targets for these sort of events as we have large crowds. Usually they're outdoors or in confined spaces. It's something the industry does need to be considering. Just after my class on Sunday, the weather finally broke, and a couple rounds of the promised zombie volleyball did take place. There was also a Hearst show put on by the Dark Arts and Funhouse Enthusiast group. I'd like to thank them personally for the award they gave to the Ocean View Trail of Terror zombie response vehicle. We were the only haunt car there, but, well, we did win a prize for being the haunt car there in the show, so thanks again. Again, with the weather the way it was all weekend, wasn't exactly ideal for a car show. So that's pretty much the events that at least we attended during the weekend. There was an escape room out front, just never had time to go through it. On the show floor, there were a few different neat new things we saw. Nevermore Productions and Dusk Productions were both there with their huge animatronics and set pieces. Nevermore had pretty much the same showing as at Transworld. Dusk Productions, first time I've seen them, they had some slightly more affordable animatronics. Decent movements. When I spoke with them, they said that everything was ready to be outdoors, and they're familiar with the Jersey Shore type weather with the salty air. So, seems promising. Pittsburgh Poster was there. They had some backlit changing panels. So if you're familiar with Pittsburgh Poster, they do billboard signage. So it's that type of outdoor vinyl that will hold up to the elements. Usually it's just scenic posters. And when I say poster, I mean 8 foot tall, 4 foot wide. And you can do whole scenes with these. The new ones they had that I've not seen before, with backlighting, an image appears on the panel. Without the backlight, the image is not visible. So, good for startle scares. You could have a white room and suddenly turn on the backlights and you're surrounded by murderous clowns or whatever the image on the panel may be. The owner did speak with us as well and told us that all of the panels are fire retardant and they keep all the testing information and whatnot ready and available. They had a neat little maze set up so you could walk through various panels, and wasn't attended by actors or anything like that, but still was a neat little walkthrough maze. There was some tech on the show floor, not a whole lot. We saw some escape room type items. The Terrorcom, which was a intercom with a talking skeleton head. That was pretty neat. There was another device that looked like a mad science bench with a skull on it that was talking. There were escape room controls, an interactive device with the touchscreen on it. Once you triggered the device, it would shoot out either a blast of air or misting water. They had little side devices that would get to the sides or rear if you had a larger crowd. And it's interesting seeing how escape room technology is finding its way into haunts and vice versa, which it gives you a level of interactivity. Our haunt this year, we may be looking at making the first room that sets the story into a little 2-3 minute escape room. Could set the pacing of the show very well and give the audience a little more in-depth interactivity instead of just hearing a story. So take it as you will. It's interesting to see those things showing up at the haunt shows as things for a haunt and not just things for an escape room. There were some new actor noisemakers out there. We've all seen the power drill handle with an ooga horn or car horn on top. There was a character from Bloodshed Farms, I believe it was Grin or Carnage, one of their professional clowns that does clowning around on the side, who had a load-bearing vest with car horns and lights on it and a battery in the rear. That was a clever concept. I've actually saw something like that from Midwest Haunters Convention. Not sure if it's just the same idea or if someone's leading off the other, but clever idea. You expect to see something in the actor's hands, but you don't exactly expect the actor themselves to honk at you. There were also professional services for shows. There were psychics there, roaming characters. One of the best roaming characters there, Father Evil. If you're not familiar with him, he has a character, just a evil Catholic-looking priest. And he does very good makeup. He's very much a character actor. And something clever and hilarious that he had somewhere on his person was hidden a speaker with decent quality audio for, I'm assuming, a battery-powered Bluetooth speaker. So he would make an entry into a room, and suddenly you would hear church music start to play ominously in the background. And that was glorious. Great idea. I give him a ton of credit for it. He found the right audio system. I'm guessing it is a little 8 ohm battery power, likely Bluetooth. And just the way he would trigger that as you walked into a room before you even saw him was genius. I would love to see more actors use things like that for the characters. Q-line actors could really benefit from that. If you have, the hillbilly character, you could have some banjo music playing. You turn around to see where that's coming from, and there's Bubba standing behind you. Hey, Johnny Thunder, hope you heard that one. Cool idea for you. Various Q-line actors as well. If you have a zombie SWAT team or things like that, you could have radio chatter. Just an assortment of noises, monster noises, breathing noises, whatever. Something to consider. Little hidden Bluetooth speakers on your characters they have control of. Pretty neat concept. Shout out to Father Evil. That was really, really cool. Now we have a couple interviews we did on the show floor with a couple different vendors. Would have liked to do some more, but we were so busy running around with tech all weekend that didn't quite catch up with everyone we wanted to. Here with Jason from Audio Zombie. I'll let him tell you a little bit about what he does with his company.
So Audio Zombie is a sound design company. We do sound libraries as well as custom work for haunted attractions, hay rides, ghost tours, animatronics, anything haunt related.
Right. I've seen you have different libraries of sounds. I've used some in my show in the past. I think it was Zombie Playground. Was that the one you had up several years ago?
The very first one, yes. So what we do is, it's not a guy behind a keyboard using pre-made sounds. It's Hollywood-style Foley work, meaning that we take a bunch of junk, bang it around, manipulate it digitally, rhythmically, and sort of make these soundscapes that what you find in movies, big horror movies.
Right.
I feel like there's less music in horror and more soundscapes, so I'm trying to put the customer inside a horror film instead of take them out of your attraction by humming a melody.
Right, exactly. And we all love Haunted Mansion, but you're walking through the woods, where's that music coming from?
Exactly.
And one of the effects you had on the Zombie Playground we loved, I think it was a piano string being stretched to its breaking point.
Yes, yep. That's a popular one.
That fantastic sound. And your recording, it's not just a standard microphone, right?
No, we have a commercial recording studio. We do everything from television, film, television commercials, training videos, audiobooks. It's a commercial studio. Record and produce a lot of music, mostly in the hard rock and heavy metal genre. But, it's a full-blown recording studio, and that's 0x1 Sound Studio out of Cherry Hill. And Audio Zombie is a section of that.
Okay, fantastic. Where can they find out some more about your product and your different files out there?
Oh, well, so you can go to our website at audiozombisound.com, and we're about to change the website hopefully soon, since I'm sort of doing everything.
Right. Know how that goes.
It's a slow process, but yeah, I have the intention of putting up the new albums, changing the look, explaining our process a little bit better. People, I don't know if they truly understand what goes on behind the scene and how we make our stuff organically.
Right, it's not just coming out of a computer.
Right.
And are there online digital downloads available?
There are. All the digital retailers. We're in 300 digital retailers, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, all the big ones, and then all the small ones.
So yes, if you procrastinate until, October 30th and need something for your home haunt, there you go. So awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
We're here on the show floor with Andy from Dark Forest Creations and his new horror horns. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Horror horns are a fantastic scare that you can't fail with. It's a handheld device, it's portable, it's rechargeable, and it's basically a blast of a horn in multiple sounds. A car horn, you can go with the ooga sound, a truck horn, and it also has a flash of light with it, so it's disorienting at the same time. So it's fantastic for somebody who, say, doesn't have a booming voice at a haunt or a scare where you need them to really sneak up on somebody, but hey, maybe they just don't have what it takes to be the screaming and yelling, because we all know what works in haunted attractions is loud noises. Well, nothing makes a loud noise like this horror horn.
Right, we've been here on the show floor all weekend, and you can hear it from end to end. That's very clear and apparent.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pretty popular item, and it has 101 uses. When you're not doing a haunt, you could use it to revive Grandpa. You could use it for, waking the kids. It's a great device. It's basically, and it's a rechargeable item, 18 volts, and the uses are endless. But let me tell you, the number one use is scaring people.
And I could see, parades, public events like that, it'd be great to draw attention into. So where can they find more information about them and maybe buy some?
They can get it. My company is Dark Forest Creations, and you can go to darkforest.com. My email address is andy@darkforest.com, or you can call it 201-666-DARK.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Go to haunttechtips.com for show notes and more.